In recent years, the global steel industry has been undergoing a fundamental shift, shifts driven by many factors, but I'm going to point out particularly foreign competition that unfairly benefits from non-market policies and practices. And now the trade actions of the United States are further transporting global steel market dynamics and supply chains. Let's be clear, Canada will be one of the countries most impacted by these developments. It's because we are highly exposed to this fundamental restructuring that's happening in the global steel industry. We have substantial steel exports, we have very high per capita steel use, and we have a disproportionately open import market. In fact, we have one of the most open steel markets in the world. Imports supply almost two-thirds of current Canadian consumption of steel, compared to less than one-third for the United States and less than one-sixth for the European Union. And over time, we become too dependent on the United States as our biggest customer, with more than 90% of our steel exports going south of the border. So moving forward, we must diversify our trade relationships, and above all, we must rely more on Canadian steel for Canadian projects. Canada's new government will do several things. First, we will take a series of measures to stabilize our domestic steel market and prevent harmful trade diversion arising from current trade tensions. Informed by the review of our steel trade arrangements that we announced last month, the following changes to tariff rate quotas will take effect by the end of this month. For steel products from non-free trade agreement countries, we will tighten the tariff rate quota level to 50% of 2024 volumes and apply a 50% tariff on any imports beyond those levels. For steel products from partners with free trade agreements, we will introduce a tariff rate quota level for steel products at 100% of 2024 volumes and apply the same 50% tariffs on imports above those levels. The government is reviewing its remission framework to favor the use of Canadian steel and aluminum in Canadian-made products. And we will also implement additional tariffs on steel imports from all non-U.S. countries containing steel melted import in China. Our existing arrangements with our customer partners will remain the same, including no changes to our current trade measures with the United States. The combination of all these measures will ensure that Canadian steel producers have a bigger share of the Canadian market. It will create more resilient supply chains and unlock private capital for Canadian production. But given the dynamics in global trade, we will reassess all of our existing trade arrangements with respect to steel, consistent with the progress made in our bilateral discussions with the United States. And will also take into account the steel negotiations that the U.S. is currently undertaking with other countries, because what happens in those will affect what happens here. Second, we will invest in Canadian steel companies and, above all, in Canadian steel workers. Building on previously announced enhancements to employment insurance and the EI work-sharing program, the Government of Canada will invest $70 million in labor market development agreements to provide training and income support for up to 10,000 affected steel workers. Through reskilling investments and increased worker supports, we will ensure workers have the skills and the support that they need to meet the future needs of this industry. To build a more resilient and diversified steel industry that serves the needs of a growing Canada, the government will provide $1 billion through the Strategic Innovation Fund to help Canadian steel companies advance projects that will increase their competitiveness, that will catalyze their production of steel products that are not currently produced in Canada, and to create jobs to serve growing sectors of our economy, including in defense. This was today's important update. We want to make it absolutely clear that our videos never include any kind of misinformation. Canadian Nexus is dedicated to bringing you verified and trustworthy news from across Canada, from politics to society and everything in between. If you value truth and facts, you're in the right place. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the Canadian Nexus channel. Thank you.